The stuff I see of you more often than not now is you talking about, actually quite a lot about the plight of young men, of masculinity. You introduced me to a guy called Warren Farrell, for example, in listening to some of the things you talked about.
Warren Farrell was the guy that wrote the original. I mean, he was a big player in the feminist movement in the late 60s. I mean, a very important mind in the feminist movement. And then he wrote a book called The Myth of Male Power, which I think has been misinterpreted by lots of people. But it's interesting. All the dangerous jobs are done by men. I'd really recommend, if I was going to name check anyone, Scott Galloway has got a new book out. A phenomenal writer. Just a brilliant man, I think.
Let me ask you the question I asked him. Do you think toxic masculinity exists?
Yeah, I do. And I think there's
Because he doesn't.
Okay, well, here's what I think on masculinity. And by the way, I do not have a zero-sum view of empathy. So there's a weird thing where people go, oh, you're talking about young men having a problem, therefore you must not care about young women. Yeah. I think the greatest partnership there has ever been in the history of the planet is men and women together. And we come together, but we're different. We're not exactly the same. There's different things going on. So toxic masculinity, here's my view. We used to have toxic masculinity every Friday night, okay? A Western came out or a mob movie came out once a week. And they don't make those movies anymore. They don't tell those stories. And they were our stories. In the same way as some guys might be a bit kind of roll the eyes going, oh, she's reading another romance novel. Well, that's her stories, and she's getting something out of that romantic fiction. We get something out of mob movies and cowboy movies. We get something about seeing the rugged individual go up against the bad guys and triumph, and we walk out of the Rocky movie feeling 7 foot tall, and we love that. They don't make those movies anymore, and that's fine. But if you don't make any of that product anymore, then things pop up, like Andrew Tate. He's a pimp. Okay, but, pimp arrives, and suddenly people are drawn to that. Because that pimp is speaking for young, disenfranchised men.
But is it the masculinity that's toxic? Or is it, this is a really repugnant individual who's saying appalling things and treats women in an appalling way, which is not particularly a form of masculinity that any man worth his salt would engage in?
The cure for toxic masculinity is very simple. It's two things. Be a gentleman and be a mensch. That's it. That's it, you're done. It's super easy.
How do you be a mensch?
Do for others. Be of service. Be of service to your friends. Stop asking what you want and ask what you have to offer. Real simple.
One of the things Scott Galloway said when we had him on the show the other day was he thought that one of the creators of the crisis of masculinity was that young men don't go and drink. They don't have. And the death of pubs
This is
plays into
the best line in his book. The risk to your liver is as nothing compared to the risk of social isolation. People aren't just working from home. They're living from home. Yeah. Everything's getting delivered. And there's kind of an issue with that in terms of you want people to go out and live their lives, and people are only talking about one half of things. Like Australia, there's a big controversy this week because Australia took away social media from kids. You can't just do that. Jonathan Haidt wrote about this brilliantly. You can't just take away the ultimate freedom they were enjoying online. You have to give them freedom in the real world. So you have to allow them to go and have a real experience. I think it's the issue with our society. Sorry, this might all be too boring for LBC listeners, but the idea, I think George Orwell was not right. I think he's brilliant, but 1984 isn't right. Our freedom will not be taken by an authoritarian from above. Our freedom will be given away by us for cheap dopamine. It's a brave new world. It's Aldous Huxley. And we're giving it away. It's cheap dopamine. Look at young men. What do they want to do? They want to play video games, which is... it couldn't be any more of a proxy career. There's levels and then a big boss at the end. Please, it's very obvious. And then they're looking at online pornography. And I'm not being puritanical. I don't want them to have nothing. I just want them to not have enough of that they feel like they have to go out and talk to the girl. Because the rejection is terrifying.
Yes, but isn't that the bit? The bit is the rejection. And to pick up on Galloway again, the idea that a young man needs to ask a girl out with the fear that they are going to say no. Lots of men haven't done that. There's stats on that.
I think a lot of men, and it's that thing of like, be a gentleman. I think men intrinsically know there's a difference between asking someone out and pestering a woman. And knowing the difference between the two. And that's why you need a gang of guys. You need a group of guys, and you need to police yourselves. Because there's an illusion in our society. This is kind of my problem with society.
Has that not been considered toxic because it's the lads? The lads are back.
The lads are what mediate other lads. Men are better with women around, but a group of boys, the guy might ask a girl out once, and then his friend might go, yeah, she's not into you, mate.
Yeah.
Go where you wanted. She's not. She's turned you down. It's okay. It's over. But he's the guy that goes and buys you a drink and says, "You move on."
But you
need that. People think they're individuals.
Yeah.
And I think we have a dispersed identity.
Yeah.
I don't think it works to think of yourself like people talk about the mental health crisis as if it could be solved inside your own head. That's like trying to sniff your way out of a cocaine problem. That ain't going to work. You've got a dispersed identity. You are who you are with other people in your life. And if you don't like who you are, you need to change those people. You can't beat your environment.